Hi everyone, Gabe from VoidSpan here. Today we're going to do some instructional videos on how to properly and safely use some of our products and equipment. We're going to start off here with our 500 series gravity feed grout. This is a 5-gallon container. And we're going to use this grout to show you how to properly mix the product and how to set up a pressure pot for injection. We're going to go over how to properly use the pressure pot with the grout and how to safely inject a cavity. So let's begin. So as I said earlier, we are going to be using our 500 series PHLC gravity feed grout today. This grout primarily can be used in gravity fed applications into large voids and cavities. However, it can also be injected into cavities through a larger diameter tubing. It should flow just fine through that. For smaller injection tubes where you need a more flowable grout, I would recommend our 600 series injection grout, which is a very similar product to this, but it is a more fine quality of a similar grout, which will flow better through smaller diameter tubing. So in a situation where you're not necessarily injecting through an anchor, which has a smaller tube diameter, you can just use a larger injection hose into your masonry or stonework, and this gravity feed grout will inject just fine. So let's get set up. So here's our grout pail all opened up. As you can see, we've been using this grout already, and normally this pail would be completely full. So what we're going to need is some type of measuring unit. We're just going to use this cup to be able to have even ratios of water and our solids. We've got our water bucket, we've got our mixing bucket, and most importantly, we have a powerful drill with a mixing paddle on it. There's many different types of mixing paddles out there. You can use pretty much any of them. These ones tend to work quite well, however, and the smaller the paddle, the easier you're going to be able to spin it. You'll need probably a bigger drill if you want to use one of those larger flat paddle styles. So let's get this set up. So the mixing ratio on this grout is between 5 and 5.5 parts solid to 1 part water. So in order to achieve the perfect mix, we're going to start by putting some of our solids into our mixing bucket and all of the water, and then we're going to slowly add more of the solids. This way you can start to blend the grout, and once it starts to loosen up and turn into milkshake consistency, you keep adding more until you achieve your final ratio. And then at the end, if the grout is a little bit too thin, you can add a little bit more solids, and if it's too thick, you can add a little bit more water. So we have our measuring cup here, makeshift measuring cup, and these ratios are very important, so you want to make sure that you get a pretty accurate measurement. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to add all of our water. We'll come back after and add the rest of the grout, which would be either 2 or 2.5 cups, depending on how our consistency is. So here's our full thing of water. And now we're ready to blend. All right, let's get mixing. Make sure you have your feet bracing the bucket, some good boots, and always wear eye protection. All right, now we're gonna add one more part solid. And one more part solid. So you'll see when it starts to thicken up like this, it might look like it's too dry, but really you need to just keep blending it and it'll come together. And make sure you get all the solids down off the sides. Okay, it's very important that you mix it for a while so that you get a really uniform, thoroughly mixed consistency. And as you can see, despite how dry it was originally, now we have a really good milkshake consistency. And since we're gonna be injecting this batch, I'm actually gonna leave it at 5 parts solid for this so that it doesn't get too thick for our injection. So I'm gonna get this paddle cleaned up and then we'll move on to injection.